Yo, 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 what it do? What it do? It's your boy Yellow the Poet. I am here with Miss B. And Miss B, I tell you, she is the founder of Soul and Healing. She has done some light empowerment, and you will learn what light empowerment is. I actually know what that is, but I want you to hear it from her straight from the woman's mouth. So please, Ms. B, thank you for being here. Definitely welcome you to YTP Entertainment. Please enlighten the audience on what it is that you do.
Well, thank you for having me on your show, Yellow. So excuse my voice, it might drop a little bit or might get a little because I've got a bit of a cold. But yes, I am I call myself a soul empowerment coach and light configurator. And people are like, well, what does that mean? Well, it's in the wording, right?
It is.
So I help people, I empower people back to the grid of their own soul, so to speak. Yeah, because it's all about empowering yourself. Because in this day and age, many people have disempowered themselves, given their power away. And I always say, do you truly live your life or are you being lived? Because there's a big difference.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's returning to your authentic nature, returning to who you are without the conditioning, without the social conditioning, so to speak. Because oh my goodness, there's so much of that going on. It's like how do you live your life? How should I live my life? You
Yes.
know? And it's just by being honest with yourself and just being true to yourself, not how other people would want you to be, but how you choose to be. And I always say it doesn't matter how other people feel about you, it's how you feel about yourself. That's the most important thing. Doesn't matter if others don't understand you, you have to understand you.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
And the light configurator part is that I speak light language.
Mhm.
And so I often do it with my healing bowls, my alchemy sound healing bowls, but often without as well. And it's never the same. There are always different beings coming through. And I always say to people, it's like gerbil language. You won't understand it. You don't have to understand it on a conscience level, but on a soul level,
Mhm.
your soul understands and commences to heal. And that's the most important thing. Now, I've had people cry, I've had people be speechless, silent, and it's been so overwhelming for them and overpowering, but in a positive sense. And I've had some amazing results. I've had someone who, bless her heart, I did it for 5 minutes on her, and she had such a fear of going into surgery the next day. She's like, I went in, no issues. She's like, it's just phenomenal what you do. So I was like, oh, thank you.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Did you know that in our history, our probably kind of recent history, Bruce Lee used to actually do the same thing to heal himself after a battle with martial arts or training. He used to do the same thing.
Really? I didn't know he did light language.
Yes.
That's amazing.
It was one of those untold stories. It was in a interview with his son, I believe. It was either his son or his wife, but one of them would talk about how he would do how he would use the light language and
Yeah.
also meditation to actually heal himself. So yes, that's
I'll
how
be happy to give a demo later.
awesome. And I would love to see it. Definitely. So what I'm hearing, a lot of what you're teaching as far as the light language is concerned follows the first law of nature, which is self-preservation. So when we're doing self-preservation, we're getting to know who we are, what we are, and getting in touch with our inner self, our soul,
Yeah.
our senses, and things of that nature. And it sounds like doing light language kind of coincides with that.
Yeah, it does. I work a lot with the Ascended Masters, and the one thing that Saint Germain says, and I love him because he's got a quirky sense of humor, he says, life is really simple. Life is a return to love, nothing more, nothing less.
Yes.
That's it. And that is so true because if we loved ourselves enough,
Hmm.
right, without the conditions, then we would love others unconditionally as well.
Uh-huh.
But we don't because everything's got conditions. We've got the ego. We believe in separation. And that's it's just mind blowing because we're not separate. I don't even all these labels that people have been subjected to. I
Hmm.
don't care what color you are. I don't care what nationality you are. I
Yes.
don't care if you're an alien,
Yes.
but we are all the same. And people are like, yeah, but we're not. I said, yeah, we may express ourselves differently, but
Yes.
the light, the soul within our physical embodiment is the same. There
Yes.
is no difference.
There isn't. There isn't. That is so true. I 100% agree with you. Actually, I
But it's done by
1000%
design,
agree.
right? It's
Yeah,
done so by design.
that's true. That is so true. But at the same time, a lot of people's interpretations has been distorted by the things that we were stripped of as humans, and that's where people fail to understand. They don't understand that a lot of things that we were stripped of as humans altered our process of thinking, and we
Yep.
fail to understand those things. Like when you start talking about light language, when you're talking about higher beings or higher self, and you're talking about the soul, some people are just not in tune or in touch with that, and they feel like this is a total alienated topic to them, and they feel so they it brings about a fear, and they're afraid to even talk about it or even try and attempt to get into it.
Oh, let's not talk about fear, yellow. Fear is an illusion, right? I mean, we know
Yes.
that it means false evidence appearing real.
Hmm.
And several weeks ago, they gave me, well, it also means either falling endlessly
Hmm.
or arising revolutionary. So,
Yes.
what are you going to do? Are you going to give into that fear? Because fear and it's funny because I wrote this in my second book that's coming out later this year. And
Mhm.
the Ascendant Master Saint Germain is funny. He's like, well, fear is the Lord Shen to your muted Kung Fu Panda.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Or it's like, fear is the Darth Vader to your Jedi.
Yes, that is so true.
It's
Yes,
just an
indeed.
illusion, and it just is a barrier that it's that barrier that doesn't allow you to live the life you truly want to live.
Hmm.
And we're energy. You can change your life at any point in time if you take responsibility for all your experiences.
Yes,
People
indeed.
seem to forget that, well, in this life you've chosen this life, and you may say you have not because you've
Yes.
forgotten, right? Because you've been whacked on the head
Yes.
upon incarnating, right? You pop out the
Yeah.
womb cold turkey, and you're like, whoa. And we commence living our lives, but yeah, we just totally forget who we are, and we get lost in this complete maze, this earthly jungle of life,
Huh?
not even remembering who we are and why we came here in the first place.
Yes, indeed. That is so true. Oh my goodness. I love you. I love you. I promise you my wife won't beat me up for saying that, but oh my
It's okay.
oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So I actually do what's known as energy bending. My wife, she actually practices Wicca.
Oh,
So,
amazing.
so yeah. So we actually combine the information of the two and see if we can create something different from what we've actually experienced. And I must say, it's working well. It's working
Of
very
course it is. But
well.
it's funny because technically speaking, it's ancient knowledge. And what
Yes.
you're just doing is putting that ancient knowledge back together. It's like
Yes.
pieces of the puzzle.
Yes.
Yeah. because we talk, and that's why we live in such transformational times where the holistic will have more of a forefront, and more of the ancient knowledge will be coming through
Yes.
to people that want to work with that. So that would include you and your wife. And I think that
Yes.
is amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. This is awesome because I don't get to talk to many people that actually understand this level of energy, of spiritual knowledge, speaking on the soul. Is not a lot of people in the world that I talk to that actually
Yeah.
understand where this comes from, what it does, the inner workings. There's a lot of people that's just so lost to this type of information. This is truly a blessing. This
Yeah.
is truly a blessing.
That's
if
because people
if
are so lost in that 3D, that third dimensional frequency still,
mhm,
and then we talk about that fear of change,
yes.
where it's like, oh my God, everything is collapsing. Well, actually, yes, it's a beautiful thing that it's collapsing, because you live in this superficial, this artificial world,
Uh-huh.
right? And I always say, you live in this we live in this glass box of, because Terra is Earth, of a terrarium.
Yeah. Me and my group of friends who I studied with ever since I was a little boy, we say
Mm.
extra terrestrials. So
That's funny.
so
Yeah, that's a
a
good
lot of
one.
people, but a lot of people don't understand when we say that what that means. I mean, you have beings that come here to our planet
Yeah.
and they teach us things that we would have not normally known anything about. So you take
Yeah.
that knowledge and you take that Godfather knowledge and you utilize that knowledge, and you'll be surprised how much you yourself advance in this world. But
Yes.
you have to take those steps. You have to.
Yes, you do.
If you don't take those steps, you'll never know what the world is like. Another thing we was talking about was, it's funny how people talk about bad, people talk about negativity, people talk about all these things, and at the same time, you believe in sectism. So when you're looking at sectism, you're talking about people that are of this religion, this
Hmm.
class of people, that class of people, this group of people, that group. So it's kind of like you picking a clique over picking what we really are, the energy that we should actually be focused on. You
Yeah.
picking that over this. And you're so lost because that clique, all these people think the same way that you do, and you don't understand that there's a lot more outside of that box than what you've been taught.
Absolutely. And that's these labels. And that's why I always say, it's funny. I always say this, right? Earth, only two things. Earth, the only planet in the multiverse, in this part of the universe, where you have to pay to live, right? You incarnate and you've got to pay to live.
Yes.
Second,
That's funny. I like that.
well, yeah, you do. And I always say, well, Earth, well, if you want to incarnate here, well, welcome to the insane asylum, where you're being fed your meds, being fed your meds, and you've got to stay in the psych ward, right? Until one day you realize, oh, wait a minute, there's more to life. You get off your meds, you sneak out the psych ward, and you hop over the fence and you start living your life
Exactly.
truly in your soul essence.
Yes, yes.
And everyone in the psych ward thinks you're nuts. Well, that's all right.
Yes, okay. It's quite all right. Let them think it. Let them think whatever they want to. Because
Yeah,
I'll take that quantum leap over that staying stagnant any day.
absolutely, absolutely. And I think, you know, right now it's all about healing, and many people are so stuck in their ways that
Mhm.
when something surfaces, what do they do? Well, they take medication, or they try and deviate away. But
Yeah.
everyone is a reflection of one another. We're all teachers of one another, and we're all walking one another home. And it's all about expanding your consciousness and understanding life. It doesn't matter what you go through, because I've been through my share of trauma since a kid
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't deal with it. And so I always say one bit of trauma creates another bit of trauma, because it
Mm-hmm.
just keeps on going, because
Yes.
you are your own biggest dis-ease, right? Because your soul is not aligned within your body. And it's just
Exactly.
like you just feel blah, ill. And but you have to take responsibility for
Yes.
all of your experiences,
Yes.
regardless of what has happened to you,
Yes.
right? And so when your emotions surface, just feel them, feel them to heal them rather than whack-a-mole them back in, because all you're going to do is end up hurting yourself and creating I always say a disease within yourself, or an illness.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't understand that their energy, right? Because they think they're just this physical essence, but they're not, right? You're the captain of your own ship.
Yes.
You decide how you live your life, because your
Yes.
energy and the mind is the most powerful tool we have,
Yes, it is.
because this is where we commence to create. Now you can either build something positive or think something negative all the time. And if something happens to you and you remain in that victimhood, well, look at how your life will turn out. It's a choice. It really, really
It
is a
is.
choice.
It is a
Because,
choice.
yeah, people don't understand that they're divine alchemists. And
Mm-hmm.
alchemists in the Renaissance period,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, they turned lead to gold. But
Mm-hmm.
it also means that turning the heaviness within yourself, the
Mm-hmm.
heaviness of all your experiences, that you alchemize these
Mm-hmm.
and turn them to gold, to that you become more enlightened.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed.
It's not rocket
But
science.
but they also don't understand too that in order for you to have that balance, the negative and the positives must align. If they don't align, then you don't actually have a balance. You can't expect to only have positive or to only have negative. These things happen for a reason, and they're constantly leading us to where we're supposed to connect to, because each energy is the
Yep.
portion of a bigger puzzle. And as long as
Yes.
we channel into these energies, we're getting closer and closer and closer to something that right now we don't have any knowledge of what we're connecting to. But once you get into it where you're supposed to be, you will. You'll have that
Hmm.
knowledge of where you're supposed to be. But you have to
Yeah.
get into it first.
Yeah, but that's why we live in a world of duality. Without duality, we wouldn't understand, you know, the light and the darkness.
Hmm.
So that's the thing. People always say to me, "Well, how can you forgive these people? You were abused as a child. How can you forgive these people?" And then I'm always like, "Well, how can I not? If I were to walk around with such bitterness towards everyone that's done me wrong,
Hmm.
then I couldn't move on. No, they have been teachers of mine. They've been reflections of mine.
Hmm.
And I love them, every single one of them. I love them for having been in my life, because if that had not been the case, I would not be who I am today. And that is far more valuable than remaining living in that superficiality of self. I always say living in the shallow puddles of yourself,
Hmm.
because what
Hmm.
do you achieve?
Nothing.
And
Restraints. Restraint.
yes,
If that's all
exactly.
you're doing is you're
Just shackle
restraining
yourself.
yourself from growing. You're definitely because I too came from an abusive lifestyle and
Yep,
bullying, and
yep,
people always trying to taunt me or doing
yep.
something crazy. It was always something as I was growing up. And it seems to happen to the people who are already in a position to understand who they are and where they're going. It seems to happen to those people the most.
Yes.
And at a young age, I used to be extremely clairvoyant to the point to whereas it was like I was literally standing in front of the person that I'm talking to, and they could be actually behind me, and I could tell them what color they have on, what they have on from head to toe.
Wow.
Yeah. I've lost it and I'm trying to regain that back. And now it's kind of like coming back now because I'm getting more in depth into my energy thing. I got a bunch of stuff right now. Like I get more and
It's
more.
not, it's, but you know what? It's never lost. It's merely that you have covered it up, and all you need to do is recover that gem of a light, you
Yes.
know? And it's
Yes.
just a healing process, and that's okay. But it's there.
Yes,
It's
it is.
definitely there.
It is. And thank
You
goodness
just got to work for
I'm
it a little
going.
bit. That's all.
At least I know it's not going. Thank goodness.
No, it's not. It's not. I will tell you a funny story. A funny story with my light language. I had several people trying to help me, light language healers,
Mhm.
and they kept saying to me, "Well, you're in the garage. The tools are there, right? But you need to fix the car with the right tools."
Right.
And then I had a face-to-face workshop session with a beautiful soul called Siobhan Purcell. She's amazing. And I said, whatever you do, I do not care. I said, you kick me over the edge. And she did. She's like, and now you're going to speak it. And I was like, blah, 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 I was going like that. But it did. It came out. It came out.
That's
And
what's
it's only because of a past life, in a past life in Lemuria, where I was a mermaid, and I'm actually from the Syrian star belt.
oh wow.
But so not the main, but somewhere on the outer fringes.
Uh-huh.
And when Atlantis already existed, I was captured by the Atlanteans, by
Hmm.
the sons of Belial. So you have the law of one, or spiritual, and
Hmm.
then the sons of Belial, who are the engineers and scientists. I
Yes.
mean, look at the world today. Oh, it hasn't stopped. It's history repeating itself. But I had to, what they created were hybrids, and they were not supposed to be doing that. And
Exactly.
so people think like the half miniatures that they did not exist. Well, they did.
Yes, they did.
They did. I have seen them in the astral form, and they are they were actually wonderful. They
Mm,
actually saved my life. But I've seen many other hybrids, and it's I have what I had to do was tone them, so tone their growth in like the kind of test tubes that they were in, to
mhm,
make sure that when they were ready to come out of that test tube, that they could breathe on their own. So
mhm.
it was tuning, fine tuning their physical essence, so to speak.
Yes, yes, indeed.
And so I did not want to use my voice anymore because it was misused.
Hmm. Understood. Understood.
So in this lifetime, they had to slap it out of me.
Well, I actually happen to be the counterpart to you. You're the mermaid, I was the merman.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes, yes. So it's funny how we actually came together. That is
Yes.
awesome. That is totally awesome. Yes, I was the merman in the past life. So I it was crazy because for a while I always wondered where my character traits came from, the things that I
Now
do.
you know.
I do the things that I do. And
Yep.
it took me to really get knee deep into meditation as well as into the energy bending. And once I got really, really in depth into it, a whole lot of things started actually coming to the
Yep.
forefront. And I couldn't have been more amazed.
So if you were a merman, then you are most probably from the Syrian star belt somewhere.
Most likely, yes, most likely.
Yes.
I'm
Most
still,
aquatics, I call them the aquatic star seeds, come from there.
yes, that's true. And then I was born under the Virgo. So
Oh, I'm a crappy crab.
my wife is too.
Really?
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
That is awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh wow. So you were saying that for many years you were being a SpongeBob. What was that like for you going through that?
I was a SpongeBob. I was absorbing everyone's energy around me. You
Hmm.
know, they were feeling groovylicious, and I was feeling like crap.
Kind of like an empath.
Yeah, it's kind of like an empath. But again, you know, that's a label because it's such, as Saint Germain always says, it's a cop out saying that you're an empath because you can guard your energy just as easily as you leave the portals open to say, hey, everybody, welcome. I'm an empath. You know what? You can absorb my energy and I'll absorb yours. That's just the easiest cop out in the world.
Yes, yes, indeed. But we only say these things because we're speaking to the people in a language in which they understand.
Yes, yes. So it's it's just you just gotta, you know, if you know that you're an empath, before you go out, just put a bubble around you. Because I know that if I were to step into an overfull train carriage going into London, I
Hmm.
would get dizzy. Don't think people cared, you know? And
Yeah.
I just had to keep it together, but there were times where I nearly lost it and I just had to sit on my bag in the middle of a full carriage.
Yes.
But nobody gets up for you because everyone's so self-absorbed, they don't
Self-absorbed.
care.
Yes.
They're all on their electronics, you know, and they don't
Yes.
care. But
Yes.
that was my own fault in that case because I did not protect myself.
Hmm.
Once I protected myself and I just put a blue bubble around myself and said to
Hmm.
Archangel Michael, you know, before I hop on the train, can you please protect me? You
Yes.
know, and that really
Yes.
worked.
And a lot of people call that grounding.
Yes.
They call it ground. My wife is an empath, so I know.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? How all this stuff is coming. It's coming full force. I guess
Yeah,
this, look,
absolutely.
you were meant to be. You were meant to connect. So,
Absolutely.
so at what time in your life did you come into this type of understanding?
Well, it went in stages. It
Mm-hmm.
really went in stages. And I think I mean, I started reading the tarot when I was about 19, 20.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a lot of tarot readings for people at the time.
Okay.
Um, was going through toxic relationships and, you know, not understanding why things just didn't really work out.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think it was in 2009 when I was out in Holland and my ex was from the US and he came over. He was like this part-time crack addict. And I had no idea. And then he landed in bed with the Crips and I tried to help him, wanted to go to rehab and but nobody would take him on in the rehab centers in Holland because he didn't have a social security for Holland.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my gosh, I saw him with crack hands and I I paid for so much for him and it was just and then he got um he was held for ransom by the Crips in Holland and I did help the police at the time um and they managed to grab him when
Mm-hmm.
he was at a money grams and he told me and so the police got him
Mm-hmm.
and they deported him back to the US. He was thankful that I saved his life. I mean, I had my life threatened by the Crips, and even though that was via phone, and the guy said, "I'm gonna find you and I'm gonna kill you, and if I find your ex, you will never find him. If I find him, I will. You'll find his body in a ditch somewhere."
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that was. I tried to take my own life by taking a box full of aspirins.
Mm-hmm.
But all that happened was I got a good night's sleep, and I woke up the next day without a headache. But my mom got me out of Holland because I was in Holland in the space of like 3 days, in back to the UK,
Mm-hmm.
and I I went to see a counselor, but a normal counselor, and she said, "Well, Brigitte, you're going to be fine. You're strong enough." But that wasn't helping me. What
Right.
good is that going to do me? So
Exactly.
then I was, researching on the internet because for me, it was very much about self-discovery. I
Mm-hmm.
had to figure things out. It wasn't like somebody saying, "Hey, Brigitte, go and see this healer." And so I found someone, and that's how I rolled into Reiki. And so she really helped me. And so I became one of her students and I did level 1 and 2. But rather than doing it in the space of a weekend, which happens nowadays, right? In a
Yes,
weekend,
it
you've got your Reiki
does.
level 1. Whoa, you're a healer. It doesn't work like that. It takes time
It
and it
does.
takes case studies and self-healing.
Yes.
So that's what I did. But that was the start of my journey. And I studied many other healing modalities like holistic nutrition, EFT, even drug and alcohol abuse, because I really wanted to understand the mind of addicts and why they do the things
Mhm.
they do. But even when they go into recovery and they go to these AA meetings or any of these type of meetings, it's like, they say, I'm so and so, and I'm a Coke addict, or I'm an alcoholic.
Mhm.
And that keeps keeps this person in that vicious cycle because they keep saying, I'm an addict, I'm an alcoholic. No, you're not. Why do you keep reaffirming that you are? Do you not
Yes.
understand what you are feeding your mind? Your
Mhm.
mind thinks, oh, it's okay. It's okay, I'm an addict. It's okay. But that's the thing. That's the power of the mind. And so that's how it started for me. And I have many more difficult trials and tribulations with another toxic relationship. And then it was to the point I was so badly harassed when I was in Florida. Bless his heart,
Mm.
because he lost his mom, and he he had a reckless. And so he was trying to save the relationship with me and
Mm.
not fixing the relationship with himself. And
Exactly.
so but you know what? I was a broken bird. So what did I attract? Broken birds, right?
Yes.
And I was
Birds
I
of a
was trying to
feather.
fix them up. But what I needed to do was fix myself.
Yes.
And so, but with that relationship, I mean, that's when I got into channeling. And that's when I walked through the
Hmm.
Akashic records, of healing. And that was pretty phenomenal for me because,
So,
I mean, Akashic record healing is powerful,
yes, it
because
is.
what people don't realize is that two people in this lifetime who have had, past lives together, and
Hmm.
they take part of that karma with them here. And if
Hmm.
something is toxic and you walk through these holes,
Hmm.
the energy changes because you've let go, but the other person also changes. That's how powerful it is.
Hmm. It's kind of like creating a cosmic debt. You
Yes.
get from one place to another place and not realizing, okay, this needs to be fixed, or else you're going to constantly keep transferring this from one lifespan to the other. But eventually people get it together and finally get it taken care of. It's just crazy how it takes so long for that to happen.
Well, yes, it does, but it's a choice whether you want to heal or not. It's always a choice. I always say there's no right or wrong in how you choose to experience life. There
Hmm.
really isn't.
It
I
isn't.
mean, no, and some people will take longer, and for some it will take many lifetimes to figure it
Hmm.
out, but it's all right.
Exactly, exactly. A lot of people should understand more about the positives and the negatives as opposed to a right and a wrong. A right and a
Yeah.
wrong puts the misunderstanding of what a positive and a negative is for. I mean, your positive and your negatives create balance, like that we just talked about. But then when you start talking about right and wrong, now you're entering personal feelings that technically have nothing to do with creating a balance in life. So these are the things that I would love for people all over the world to get more in tune with, because I think that the world would be a better place and we could possibly finally put that piece to the puzzle together that's going to elevate us somewhere that we're not familiar with yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll get there, we'll get there. Collectively, we'll get there, but it's going to take past our lifetimes.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, what do you feel has been your biggest accomplishment in your journey for um for uh, for for light healing, for empowerment.
How biggest accomplishment? That's a tough one.
I know.
I always say because it's tough because everything we do in life is an accomplishment. Everything we do is we achieve something every single day.
Hmm.
I did. It's funny you mentioned that. Several years ago, I said to my mom, I said, look at me. I'm in my early 40s. I have nothing to show for. I'd lost everything again. Came back broke because I was waiting for my house to be sold in Florida. I said, I've got no job right now, even though I got one 6 weeks down the line because I had to apply left, right, and center. I said, I'm not married. I don't have kids. I don't have a mortgage. I don't have a home. What have I achieved in life? Everyone's settled down. And my mom said, Brigitta, look at your life. It's been different because you've traveled so much, you've seen the world. Many people can say that they've traveled and seen the world. She's like, you've bought 2 homes, and now you've sold them. She's like, but you've never been a quitter. So, and you've achieved so much in your life. It's just not the norm.
Hmm. Exactly.
And so I still look and I think, this is the thing with me. That's my mindset. I always say, do you know what? I can do better. I can achieve more. And that's what keeps me going.
Yes. Well, I put it
But
like this. You may be seeking the type of relationships that involves the companion of someone that'll actually be right there with you all the time, but you already have it in
yes,
the power that you're helping other people find it
yes,
and constantly
absolutely.
elevate their lives. So someone is always there, maybe not the way that your mind wants it to be, but they're there.
Yeah, and that was in the past. Now I always say, you know what? I understand what I'm here to do, and
Mhm,
I'm here in service of humanity. I'm here to empower people
mhm.
back to their soul essence to live a more abundant and fulfilled life.
Yes, indeed.
And that is far, far, far more precious than anything else,
It
than
is.
living in that superficial grid of existence, right?
Yes.
And compartmentalizing everything.
Yes.
And I just, no, I'd rather be flying high above the clouds.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Forget about cloud 9. Let's go past that.
Yes.
Cloud 9 has had enough acknowledgement, has gotten enough energy. Let's get past it.
Yeah.
So, also on your journey, what are some of the more recent experiences you've had in terms of how you help people, and what have you seen happen for them?
So, as I mentioned earlier, the person that went in for surgery, not having any fear, but it's also here when I've used the whenever I use the sound bowls, people are like, and I do the light language, people are like, but they become speechless. They're like, I'm sorry, I can't talk right now. So, and then they'll come back and they're like, it's just so amazing because I can just feel it in my core.
Hmm.
And that's exactly what it's meant to do. And I do not work in the usual way. I
Hmm.
don't. I don't follow the rules,
Yes.
right? The earthly rules. I just
Yes.
combine things, and I've always done that. Always done that.
Awesome.
Um, so what did another person said because she was feeling really depressed, and so she came to see me, and I had a 1 hour session with her actually, and she left because she couldn't even talk. And then 2 days later, she came back to me and she's like, it helped uplift my spirits so much. I had so much more clarity, which is what I needed,
Mm-hmm.
to move forward. And she's doing pretty well, and she keeps working on herself, so that's a good thing.
So I ask
Um,
this, are there times where because you being a female, if you're helping a male, does in some way he block the energy because he's not feeling comfortable with you as a
no, because people will always approach me, but it's funny because people don't always know how to approach me, and
hmm
that's okay. But I always say the right people will be put onto my path,
hmm
and they will, and, you know, they are mostly open. They're mostly open to it, so that's okay.
Awesome.
But I'm sure I will come across people at some stage that will say, you know what, that's a load of garbage that you do. That's fine. I won't love them any less.
That's true. I'm definitely with you on that.
So,
So
before we continue, did you want like a minute demo of the light language?
you say, did I have one? A mini?
No, do you want a demo, a one
Oh,
minute demo of the light language?
by all
Because
means, let's
then,
get it. Let's
okay,
get
so
it.
we want to concentrate on healing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
should we do that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, you're gonna see me do funny hand movements, but that's just the way that I speak with the light language.
Let's make it happen.
Okay, I'm not kidding. 10 seconds. Yo, okay. Okay. You know, there's some new ones. All right, I'll go with it. Oh, yimatali kikla hani kititi mama my I always say, you know what? Let the light flow through your crown chakra and let it expand within your body. Okay. Ushimakalati sisi nana nini uhia nini ni ai mama atalaki na I mata se ti 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 na I makatani ai ya ushimani nini ani akakali atatisi mai nini ya uya makaka te ti mama tisi mahani nini ya kakani ya uye mani sisi na kili atanani hanititi mama ayamakatina Ushima lakhali kititi ay makani atatatatia. Uya makatatata. Feel that healing go throughout your body. Ushimani aya maya titi titi ah. Uya makani titi alakaha nihatani apapati titi malika kakaniyo. Uya titi titi ati mama la 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 kaka Uy, mani ala pale paka papa chi 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 a chi 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 mama ma akali chi 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 ushi ni 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 ya ushi makanai chi 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 ah ani kile chi 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 ah uy maka chi 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 ah chi 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 ah chi 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 ah and let the negativity flow out through your feet and let it be recycled within the earth space. Ushimininiya lemaya uy mekikikiai makali mama 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 mama.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you. Thank you
You.
so, so much.
I understand I'm high in my head.
Trust and believe. I understand more than I let on. I'm just trying to.
Process
It's
it.
the energy is it's awesome. It's more than just human words, and a lot of
Yeah.
times we look at human words and we try to think of the word that has the most powerful meaning, but it's more than human words are not enough.
No.
Uh,
And that's okay. And that's okay. Because again, your soul processes it and it understands it.
yes indeed, yes indeed. Woo. And it feels good.
Yeah, that's the main thing, right?
Yes indeed, yes indeed. I actually did a energy bending exercise with.
Hmm.
I was standing right in front of her, and of course I use like my candles, my water, things of that nature, and I have those things around us. And she was totally surprised at the things that I was able to see. She was totally surprised. She was like, I cannot believe that you saw that. She said that is something that no one has ever seen before.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because I'm a lot of times what it is I connect just like you do. I connect with the soul, and
Yeah.
my conversations or things that I talk about or questions are directly to the soul, not so much as to your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
So when I do that, it allows me to see things that the average person would not see, which enables me to help a person overcome whatever things that they're having in their human life a lot easier and a lot faster.
Yeah, it's what we call the same with light language. It's a shortcut to healing.
Yes, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
But why take the long road that we've taken, right? When there is a shortcut and you're like, hey, you want to feel better? Have a couple of sessions and you'll be rocking your world.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. Woo. And I use like sometimes I do like aromatherapy because
Yeah,
those scents actually help a lot of people. It just depends on the person.
it
So,
does. Do you know, it's funny you mentioned that because I studied aromatherapy and then I did aroma touch with doTERRA oils,
uh-huh.
but I didn't stick to the oil, to all the oils, to the normal oils. It would depend on the person that would be lying on the table
Yes.
because sometimes, as you know, my guide said they will need this and this oil, and so I would use different oils.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Um, you listen, you don't follow the exact, the exact guideline as given, but
Exactly.
you listen to your guides.
Yes, yes, because your guys are going to tell you because you're not the same as the person that's teaching you. So your guys
Nope.
are going to tell you how to do it in a way that's going to be more beneficial to you.
Yeah.
So much is more beneficial to the person that introduces to you. And that's what some people don't understand is the person that introduces something to you has done their job because they've introduced it to you. It's up to your soul to say, hey, whoa, this is where I was supposed to be.
Yep.
Your soul accepts that and reciprocate what's going on. Then now you're being enlightened to something and they're opening your eyes and opening your mind and opening your soul to something that your body already had, but now we just reawakening it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. So, in your journey, tell me the top five things that always come to you, irregardless of who you're working with.
Are, are you talking about the guides that come to me?
The well, if it's the guides, if it's the different types of energy, if it's messages, whatever the top five things are.
Oh, well, it's a fusion of many things. So it will always be, again, it depends who I'm working with, but normally, because I also have the archangels come through, I had the ascended masters come through. I
Mm-hmm.
will have the galactics come through, depending who I work with, and messages as well. But it differs.
Mm-hmm.
Because not everyone wants to receive a message.
Yes.
So, and that's fine, and I respect that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I work a lot with Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, yeah, and the Ascended Master Saint Germain, and Hilarion as well, and the Ascended Master Todd. But like I said, it differs because there's so many of them.
Yes, yes, there are far more than we can count.
Yes, and when people channel them, it's for some they will come across very serious.
Hmm.
For me, now they have a massive sense of humor. And I must say, that on the road to self-discovery, right? And recovering who I am. Well, I'm
Mhm.
still recovering myself, you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was mostly the Ascended Master Saint Germain, and I think his quirky sense of humor really kept me going.
Okay.
It's especially in the difficult times. So I'm glad I have, I've always had their support up there.
Hmm. So,
But it's not like, as you well know,
mhm.
it's when we choose to heal, it's not like they're going to wave a magic wand. You have to do the work.
Exactly.
So, like with Archangel Michael, you know what? If you want to face your fears, well, he's going to shove your face straight into your fears to overcome them.
Quick, very quick.
Yes, yes,
Very quick. If you don't overcome them with him, you probably won't ever overcome them. Believe me.
yeah.
So when you first started out, what were some of the toughest challenges you faced and how have they helped you now?
I think when I started out, I mean, because I've taught many workshops and, I taught Reiki as well. And I, every challenge I've had, I've turned into opportunities because I
Mhm.
used to face my fears. Um, but I have often been ridiculed.
Okay.
And that is something that I've really had to come to terms with. Now I don't care. I don't have that fear. I don't have that shame label. I don't care what people think of me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. And um, yeah, so those were my biggest challenges. And I was always afraid that when I stood in front of a class, that I was going to say something wrong or do something wrong.
Hmm.
Even when I did meditations
Okay.
for groups, I was like, oh my gosh, I hope I'm going to do it right. I hope I'm not too squeaky. All these things were running through my head. And
Yes.
then at the end, they were like, oh, that was really beautiful. And I was like, oh, great. But I had that real fear, within me.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, that took some time.
Okay. Good. Good.
But
So today
that's life, right? That's life.
it
We
is.
build up our confidence through our experiences.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. And the more accomplishments we have, the better we feel, and
Yeah.
the more we're willing to go further.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
I love it. So, when you were in the modeling industry, as I too was in the modeling industry, what were some of the things you had to endure?
I mean, the modeling industry is rife. I mean, in the 90s, I mean, it was rife with abuse. There was so much of that going on. I mean, I was abused in New York or assaulted in New York. I never reported it because I wasn't exactly, even though I don't believe in all this, right? I
Mhm.
wasn't exactly legal. So it would be my word against, his word.
Mhm.
Um, and so, I mean, and I've had stylists feel me up, when putting on my clothes and stuff like that. It's just a horrible industry. It's a cattle market.
Mhm.
You went down with your portfolio at the time and you
Mhm.
had your comp card or your Z card, and they
Yep.
would flick through my portfolio really quickly, take my comp card and then say, next. Yeah, you'd stand there for 2, 3 hours sometimes,
Yeah.
just waiting to be seen.
Yeah.
And it was just ridiculous. And I always got a no because they said, well, you look too much like Brooke Shields, or you look too much like Linda Evangelista in your pictures, or Nikki Taylor, or
Oh.
Margot, I can't remember her name. Hetheridge, I can't remember. But I was just not getting anywhere. And I wasn't the type to sleep around because I knew of models that slept around.
Yeah.
And you know, I I didn't starve myself for the modeling industry. That I just had other issues of trauma that I went through.
Mhm.
As I said, abuse as a child. I was bullied at school too. I was bullied in the workplace.
Mhm.
I lost my dad when I was 14. Um, and my mom thought maybe modeling would give me a boost, a confidence boost, but that yeah, it just didn't work for me. And then when my stepdad died when I was 20, what was it, early 20s?
Mhm.
Um, Yeah, in 2000. He died in 2000. And you know, I got in what you would say the wrong crowd with drugs. And I
Mm,
used that for several months. I nearly killed myself and taken too many E's one night, and that didn't turn out very well for me. But
mm,
you know, I told my mom, and the first thing she said to me, "Well, are you still using?" And I said, "No." So that was, but I just never made it in the modeling industry. I just wasn't thick-skinned. And
mm,
even when I was in New York, when I went to see Click, I mean, the owner wanted to take me on. She really liked my look. She said, "Well, you know what? Your portfolio needs to be updated. Your age is not an issue." Because I was 27 at the time.
okay.
And then I went to see the head booker, and she's like,
Mhm.
no.
Oh,
I was like, that, no. So
wow.
the owner takes me on, head booker, no. And then Karen Lee from Karen Models in New York
Mhm.
really liked my look, but she's like, it's the age. And I thought, and she's like, I wish someone of your age would break that age barrier. And I'm thinking, well, then just take me on. But, you know, never took me
Okay.
on. So I did a lot of stuff through Craigslist
Mm.
and, you know, got paid a little bit here and there, but I could never live of it because if I had tried to do that, I would have been living under a bridge. It was just one of these things, but it's not. I think the industry has changed, but it just wasn't for me. It was an experience,
Mm,
definitely, but I just wasn't cutthroat enough. It's just not my nature.
gotcha. Gotcha. Totally understood. Totally understood. It was a little bit different
Mm,
for me. I didn't have to go through as many hurdles. I totally understand. But that whole thing of having someone dress you is just, it
mm,
just kind of felt like it took my independence away sometimes.
yeah.
And I didn't like feeling that way at all. Um, and I mean, I had fun because the person that I was modeling for, she was actually a college student, one of those college students who actually had money. So I was getting paid to do my modeling.
Mm,
The one thing that actually ended it is when she thought that I would sleep with her. Not gonna happen.
yeah.
Sorry. Wrong guy.
Yeah.
I know guys have this stereotypical reputation that you would sleep with anybody and anything. Not that
No, no, I hear you.
guy. And she quickly found out and she quickly departed and I never got a chance to model for anybody else after that. But
It's okay.
fine with that.
Yeah,
It was fun while it lasted. Time to move on to something else.
yeah.
And I'm not bitter with her or angry
Mm,
or any
no.
of that. I don't have time to waste my energy. I'm trying to utilize my energy to benefit not only myself but to help other people. So
Yeah. You
it
know,
is.
when I was out in New York, so I didn't really, like I said, I just had a few modeling jobs. So I just wanted to work in a bar, right? So I
Hmm.
started hostessing and then I worked in several places as a bartender and just got on the promotional circuit.
Hmm.
I made a killing.
Okay. Okay.
That's the one thing I have never been without work. You can put me in the desert
Yes.
and I will still find work because that is my mentality.
Yes. Yes, indeed. That's how I am. I will find something, regardless of where I'm at. You could
Mhm.
suspend me in animation and I'm going to find something to do.
Yeah.
Regardless, I'm going to find something to do. So tell us a little bit about, you said you were a bit of a turtle. Why was that?
Yeah, because I was a bit of a turtle and suffered from donkey syndrome. So every time I went through an experience, it was like they were like up there, well, you know what, she's not listening. Well, she's not really learned from this relationship. Let's give her a different package and different circumstances, different country. But let's make it a bit more difficult.
Uh-huh.
And then you know, I kept hurting myself. I kept starving myself because I was so needy, because I was trying to, as I always say, I was trying to fix the other person, mold them to the way I wanted them.
Exactly.
But I had to, like I said, I had to fix myself. I had to fix the holes in my own Swiss cheese. And because I tell you, I was bullet ridden.
Oh wow.
And so that's why I was such a slow turtle. And because it's not like I came with a cheat sheet, you know, I really had to go on a road of self-discovery
Hmm.
to figure it all out. And
Yeah.
that's why it took me a long time. But like I said, I wouldn't have it any other way. And so you will always repeat the same experiences if you do not learn from them. They're just packaged in a different way, and they become more persistent and more difficult if you choose not to learn. And they will just keep throwing them. Oh, well, you're not learning? Oh, well, there you go. Here's another one.
Oh my goodness, you just said the same thing that I teach my children all the time. I tell them, irregardless of what your experiences are in life, make sure that you learn from them. Because if you don't
Yes.
learn from them, then you're going to keep having the same experience over and over again. Maybe in a different way, but you're going to keep having that same experience
Yes.
over and over again. Once you learn from it and do what you need to do to overcome it, then you graduate to the next level of life. And once you get to
Absolutely.
the next level, then you have other things that you need to overcome. You just have to keep going. You cannot allow
Yeah.
yourself to stop.
Well, it's the same with playing, you know, Mario Brothers or Donkey Kong, right? So
Yes.
you play the level and you keep getting killed, and it's like, oh, I have to start it again. But eventually you master that level, and
Yeah.
then you go on to the next level
That
because
is
you've
true.
overcome that experience.
That
Same
is
thing.
true. But now they kind of coddle the children in games now because when they're playing the games, they don't start them over from the beginning to make them learn why they got killed in the first place. They say, okay, let's say resume where you were, and now they gotta try to battle through that last one place where they got killed, but you still haven't learned anything. All you know is, okay, that's all right, I get killed, I'll go back to the same place I was, and then I can keep going from there. It's not really a learning experience.
Yeah.
Kind of a pass. You don't want to constantly keep getting a pass because after a while, when the pass run out, then what you gonna do? You gonna start playing the video games and go find something else to
Yeah.
do? Hey, that's what can I say?
Hmm.
So in your time that you were holding down these different jobs and had to plant your feet in the world, what are some of the types of people that you had to endure?
Well, I've met many what you would call celebrities.
Uh-oh.
Not that I care, but I've had some people, especially in New York. One of the ex-giants harassed me. Literally, oh my gosh, would not stop
Goodness.
calling me, sent flowers to my work in New York, in the restaurant I worked in. I refused to take them. And the bartender's like, who came back from a smoke outside, said, please take them because he's standing across the street. I said, no, I'm not taking those flowers. I said, keep them. And so, stuff like that. But I've met many interesting characters, both toxic, non-toxic.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, what's his name? Benicio del Toro brushed past me once off his face, just like nearly knocking me over. Not just didn't even notice me. I can't even remember. I've met so many people, but it's been very interesting, regardless of which country I've been to.
Mhm.
It's I've learned so much about different cultures, and like I said, I mean, even when I lived out in Istanbul in Turkey, I just blended in like a chameleon because that was my attitude. I'm no different than anyone else.
Mhm.
Well, New York is a bit of a jungle. It is a bit of a jungle, but I did enjoy Germany. I loved South Africa when I was out there.
Mhm.
Um, Yeah, I grew up in Singapore, Malaysia, so that's different too.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Yeah.
A
So,
lot of the
but
clothing that I get are from Singapore, Malaysia.
oh, really?
Yes. Oh wow, that is pretty cool.
So yeah, I've met many interesting and diverse people, and they've all been a piece of the puzzle to my life.
Mhm. Awesome, awesome. So where you are now in your life, as opposed
Hmm.
to where you were,
Hmm.
if you had to put a percentage on it, how much growth will you say you've obtained?
Night and day, probably about from back then to now. It's a difference between night and day.
Yes, yes.
Can't put a percentage on it, but it's a difference between night and day. Um, and if you ask me in 10 years' time, it's probably going to be another difference between night and day because we make that choice to evolve and to progress.
Hmm. Yes, we do. Yes, we do, and it's up to us to keep it going.
Yes.
So, um, does does your diet play a part in what you do, and how so?
Yeah, I think diet is very important. I mean, your body is a temple, so we treat it as such. And people forget that. They throw so much junk at it because so much food is processed.
Yes,
It's full of chemicals.
yes.
Um, and so I always listen to my body
Hmm.
it's I listen to my body. It doesn't mean I have my wine gums now and then, or my Kit Kats, but I do have all my fruits and vegetables.
Uh-huh.
And I know exactly my body will scream at me if I overeat.
Uh-huh.
Because we live in these changing times, your body is also changing.
Yes.
So it's starting to vibrate at a
Frequency.
higher frequency.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for those people that eat loads of junk food, they remain at that lower density.
Yes.
And that's also done, all these processed foods, all this junk food, that's done so by design to
Hmm.
keep you in that lower vibrational energy.
Yes.
Yeah, but if we meditate on a daily basis and people say, well, I don't have time for that. Um, that's a lot of,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, what is 10 minutes out of your day? 20 minutes.
So what is
Go to YouTube. Listen to David G, for instance, 20 minutes, boom, and just follow the instructions because
yes.
it's kind of like he infuses
Mhm.
transcendental meditation
Yeah.
with, the mantra. I like to listen to that sometimes, but I also believe that the breath is very important
Yes.
because people breathe very shallow rather than breathing all the way down to the root chakra. And that's very, very important. But yeah, my diet is really important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it also, depending on what you eat, it will also help with, of course, your health, but also your energy levels. And
Mm-hmm.
I take my supplements.
Awesome. Awesome. So what are your main supplements?
It varies. Again, I listen to what my body needs,
Hmm.
but I have, when I say mushrooms, it's like, what? But
No,
no, it's
I
the
know.
herbal stuff. So
Yes.
like chaga and I have 7 different ones it's all powder form and you can put it in your cereal
Yeah.
or your yogurt. And then I have one for gut health. And then the other one is um for energy levels and your hair, which I
Mhm.
mean, it's insane. It's insane how powerful this is because it's organic.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
not cheap, but you don't need to use a lot.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean because I use it every once in a while. I don't use it all the time, but I use an organic biotin,
Yeah.
and biotin is actually good for the hair, the nails,
Yeah, I've got that too.
and so I'll definitely do that. And as far as my gut health, I actually drink a tea
Yeah.
that's specifically made for gut health. And then I eat grapefruit because it helps with the leptins. And it
Yep.
also helps to regulate your body so that you're going as frequently as you need to and not
Yep.
because you have to.
Why that's, I eat apples instead.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Hey,
That works too.
works,
Yeah.
right? Whatever works.
Yeah, it works. And that's the thing. People need to learn to listen to their bodies.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. You have to. You have to listen to your body. Your body speaks in what humanity would know as a silent communication, but
Yeah.
it's far from silent. It is
It
far.
was far from silent. And when I used to starve myself, when I was going through my own trauma, it's
Mhm.
like my body was screaming, "You bitch! I need food, I need fuel. What are you doing to me?"
Oh my goodness. So let me ask you something, and I've asked a couple of people this before, but you're on a whole wave level, a whole different wavelength. So I just want to know when you were going through your time of using the paraphernalia,
Yep.
what, if you can remember, what was your mindset like? What was like some of the things that you would focus on that weren't related to
Well, I mean, that was a different time. I mean, my stepdad had just passed away and my mom was leaning on me.
that?
So I just wanted to escape the
Mm,
pain that I felt and the grief that I felt.
mhm,
And, like I said, I just wanted to be, people didn't really listen to me. So if I wasn't the happy person that people normally saw me as, because I was always happy, and I spoke of my stepdad. I only had time to speak about him for like 2 minutes before it was like said and done. And they were like, "Oh, okay, you know what?" Um, it kind of like I had the feeling it was enough.
mhm,
And I felt like I didn't want to be left out.
mhm.
And this is this social peer pressure, if you want to call it that,
Okay.
because you want to fit in.
Mhm.
And it was just, yeah, it was just my mindset. I was just so far gone. Um, yeah, I mean, I was working, I had a job, but yeah, I just felt I wanted to fit in. I just wanted to be happy.
Mhm.
And that wasn't the way to do it.
Oh
But,
goodness.
you live and learn.
Yes, yes. We all live and learn, and especially when we're willing to live and learn, because
Yeah.
that's one of the key things. We have to be willing to do that in order to make any type of changes in our lives. We have to be willing to do it, and
Yes, you do.
you've come a long way. You've definitely
Yes, I have. I
definitely got
have.
something to be proud of. You have something to testify about. You definitely have something that you can definitely utilize as a tool to help embody the betterment of others.
Yes. And I think it's very important for people to understand that your experiences are meant to help elevate your awareness and expand your awareness and not meant to taunt you or to downgrade you in any way.
Exactly.
Everything, I mean, I always say life is like this game of cosmic evolution, and it really is.
Mhm.
And I'm not a pawn, a player on the board game of life. How
Yes.
you choose to roll the dice, how you choose to experience life is entirely up to you.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So let me ask you this one question. How do you feel about the people with the ND experiences? Do you feel that those are on the higher plane, or do you feel that they may or may not actually be having the experiences that they dictate?
Wait, which group of people?
ND, which is near death experiences, the people who pass away in the hospital and somehow the
Oh, yes, yeah.
yes.
The NDAs, yes. I've met some people that have experienced NDAs,
Awesome.
um, and they come back. It's very interesting. It's very interesting because they do see I mean, many remember. I
Uh-huh.
have someone who remembers seeing the Ascended Master Saint Germain,
Okay.
and that when he fell, he was held by the Ascended Master Saint Germain.
Hmm.
So I do believe that. Of course, I definitely do believe that. What I do not believe in anymore is death. There is no death.
There
There
isn't.
is only the release of the physical embodiment that you once were when you crossed over. Now you have a choice whether you want to go back into the recycle pool of reincarnation
Uh-huh.
and go through that tunnel, or you decide, nah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going back home to, the planet that I belong to.
Mm-hmm. So
Everything is a choice.
exactly. So in that choice, do you believe that a person can actually be rejected from their choice if they have not fulfilled their duty?
Well, again, there's no right or wrong in how you choose to experience life.
Yeah.
So, does it really matter? No, but they can say you go through your life review
Uh-huh.
and they're like, well, and they stop at certain points and they're like, oh, yeah, but I could have done that actually. But
Uh-huh.
it's only because I'm sitting up here now with you guys and now I'm remembering why I went down in the first place. I made a bit of a mess of it, but do over, right?
Yes, yes, indeed.
That's it, because they still graduate. I mean, they will still have had an impact on other people.
Yes, yes. I was looking at what's called the Blue Project, right? So the Blue Project is where these government officials have a conversation with an extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
The extraterrestrial, so they say to make a long story short, they ask them, so you've seen God, right? And the extraterrestrials say, we've long surpassed the superstitions. We don't see that. We don't say that anymore. And they was like, so what do you mean? It's like all the people who pretty much believe in God, Jesus, and all these things, you
Mm.
don't believe in inanimate, things, or actually believing in something that you've never seen or that's not tangible. So the government officials got angry about that and started to tase the extraterrestrial. And I'm just like, he just gave you the truth. So they said, and he was explaining to them that we don't, the human soul doesn't die. You only transfer. And he said,
Yes.
once the soul transfers, then you do whatever it is that you want to do or whatever you need to do. You go on to the next level of whatever your learning experiences are. And
Yeah.
they was like, huh, really? And
Yeah.
they tased him again. I'm just like, what in the world? What kind of understanding do you people have that you're gonna keep tasing this being for telling you the truth? That
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to me. So I was just like, you know what? I'll stay away from those types of people and I'll continue to learn what I need to learn on my journey.
Yeah, but we're all part of source. We're all part of creator.
Hmm.
And that is like, well, how can we be God? Well, of course you are God. You are a creator in your own right. You are part of that same spark of energy of
Hmm.
the overall creator.
Hmm. Well,
And
see,
so,
extraterrestrials say we're all a part of existence. And
yes,
they asked them, so what is existence? What is existence? What do you mean by that? He said, everything in this world that you know about, that you see, that's
yeah,
tangible to you, it's all a part of existence. And he's
yeah,
like, so there is no God, but there is existence. They said the only true religion, the extraterrestrials said the only true religion is love. There is
yes,
no other religion that ever existed. All these other things are things that are man-made. And
yes.
they got angry with him because they're like, oh, you don't believe in God? Keep tasing him, kept I was just like this. I couldn't watch it. I couldn't keep watching it
Mm,
over and over again. Just because you don't want to hear the truth, you want to keep tasing the extraterrestrial for telling you the truth. I
yeah.
just left it alone. But what can I say? We live and we learn.
Yep.
So tell us how we can reach you, how if you have any social media sites or anything that we can reach to learn more about light, what is it called? I'm sorry.
Light language.
Light language. That's what I meant to say. Thank you. Thank you. So tell us how we can find you and learn more.
Yeah. Can I just say one thing before I
Sure.
go into that? So the Earth, right, was created by the architects, and many planets were created by architects. And it's taken thousands of years because everything is consciousness. And Mother Earth is like a baby and it's going through growth spurts now,
Mm-hmm.
just like we grow, just like we grow up from baby to, you
Yes.
know, to teens and adults. So we go through growth spurts.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, Mother Earth is growing through a growth spurt.
Yes, indeed.
And it's those at the top, well, those at the top that you do not see,
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to keep Mother Earth's energy centers in check because Mother Earth also has chakras just like we do. You know, Mother Earth is a living, breathing, uh, yeah, of course, living, breathing consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yes,
so
indeed.
yeah, when we stamp on her because we walk on her surface, so many people just hurt her.
Mm-hmm. And they don't even realize it.
No, they don't even realize it. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to add. But you
Awesome.
can find me on www.powersoulhealing.com, and I'm also on Facebook, but I'm not exactly a social media buff. Can't always be bothered. Too much tit for tat and just too many opinionated people, and it just does my head in sometimes. But bless them though. But that's social media for you, right?
Yes, yes,
It's
it
all about
is.
conforming your thoughts,
Yes, it
and all about fitting in, and all these pictures of look what I've got, look what I've achieved, and look at my body, and you don't know what's illusion, what's Photoshop, what's real, what's not.
yes, yes, indeed.
But yeah, so I am on Instagram on the Universal Light Warriors and Facebook also on the Universal Light Warriors.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. You definitely shed some light in this direction.
Thank you. And of course, my book is available. My book, Becoming Authentically Me, is available on Amazon.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
Hey, nah, I love that because I too am a published author. Yes, indeed.
Yes, I did read that. Yes.
Yes, indeed. I love the authorship. I love the art of creative writing, showing things, teaching things,
Yep.
sharing experiences. I love it. I love it.
It's the way to empower people and to inspire people.
Yes. Yes. And people deserve to be empowered. They deserve to learn more. They deserve to reach higher levels in life.
Absolutely.
So I truly thank you, Miss B. You have definitely been an inspiration to me. I am super happy that you've been on my show. Thank you so, so much. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You've definitely been a blessing. And I truly hope that you continue. Do not let anything stop you. Please keep it going because the world
But
needs.
I can say the same about you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Peace and blessings, Miss B. Thank you so much. Once again, I will get this thing out here ASAP. Wow.
Ah, thank you so much.